Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this great day where we're going to talk about all the new releases in June that I'm so excited about. There are so many books coming out in June, and these are only the ones that I'm excited for or that I would think that you might be excited for. So there are so many more that didn't make this list. So if I forget anything or I left out something that you're so excited about, please leave it down in the comments and let's talk about them. So if I look down, you know it's because there is my list of things that I'm excited for. We're going to go chronologically throughout the month and see what the publishers have in store for us. But I have to say, it's a lot. It's a lot, and I feel like 10 or 12 of these I have arcs for, so here's hoping that I can actually manage to read all of them and give you reviews to them in a timely manner. June 3rd is crazy. The first four that I want to talk about are some that I have been so excited to get to. They are the 4 new releases from Bindery. Bindery is a very new kind of way of publishing where they work together with influencers to find new hidden gems. Because they have different influencers taking the helm of these new releases, you do have very different takes on different genres, and I am so excited for all of these. So the first one that I've already started is Of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove. It is a kind of genre blend where you have supernatural elements but in space. I don't know if it's gonna be cozy, I'm not that far into it yet, but you do have kind of like a space opera theme going on where the main character is actually a spaceship, so it's an AI, and it kind of notices some things that are happening on its ship. When people get killed, they kind of figure out it has to do with Dracula and werewolves and such. So you have these different elements all coming together. So far I'm really enjoying it, but keep an eye out for my vlog for these next 4 books. The next one is The Unmapping by Denise S. Robbins. This is gonna be weird, I think. It is set in New York. There's like a disaster happening and all of a sudden the blocks and the buildings change places, so nobody really knows if you step out where you're gonna end up. It's gonna be interesting to see how literally we have to take this. Like, is it more action-packed or will it be more philosophical about like moving parts and everything? So that's one that I'm very interested to see if it's something that I like, because it can go either way for me in this one. And then we have Black Salt Queen by Samantha Bansal, and this says that it's filled with passion, romance, betrayal, and divine magic, which I'm here for. And it says Black Salt Queen journeys to a gorgeous pre-colonial island nation where women and secrets reign. So I think we're gonna have very like feminine magic coming our way, which, hello, yes. But I do also think, because of this kind of like pre-colonial island aspect, that we do have like a commentary on colonialism, and I've heard nothing but great things. I've heard people were very emotional about this book so far, so we'll see. And last but not least, there is Crueler Mercies by Marion Chase. We have kind of female rage, and it kind of has like the aspect of a princess hidden away in a tower retelling kind of story. It says, after 9 years as the people's beloved princess, Vita witnesses the execution of her mother by her father's hand. Forced into exile, Vita fades into obscurity with her only friends, the crows that visit her window. And then 11 years later, we kind of get to the story where she's been given a choice: marry an enemy general, basically giving him the throne, or die as the forgotten princess. I feel like it can be very dark. I am intrigued because I feel like all of these have the potential to be amazing reads that may end up on my best of list, as some of the other books were from last year's release date. Next up, we have The God and the Kishin. I have tried to figure out like how to say that word, which means like ghost or demon in Korean, but I don't know if I said it correctly. I'm sorry if I did not. This is by Sophie Kim, and I am in the middle of this. I think I'm around 50% actually and into this, and it's so much fun. I love The God and the Gumiho, which is the first book in the series, and in this one we follow our main characters where they have to go down to the underworld on kind of like a cruise ship in order to solve a murder, and it has so much humor in it. There is a god who is dying, but because he's a god, he just gets turned into a baby again, and now they have to kind of babysit this god, and it's hilarious. We have people from the first book reappear in this one, so there is this kind of tension because of things that happened in the first book, and it has a lot of potential again to be a 5-star. Right now I think it's at around a 4.5 star, because it does have like a trope, a very prominent trope that I'm not really the biggest fan of, but I'm gonna see how it all ends up and how it's resolved before I make my final decision on the rating. But it's so much fun. If you like book 1, you're in for a treat. And if you haven't read book 1, The God in the Gumiho, it is amazing. In that one we have a god in the Gumiho. They're very old creatures that have been thrown together to solve a murder, and what the god doesn't know is that the Gumiho is actually the person that they're trying to catch, and she is trying very hard to keep him off her scent. And the banter and just the interactions between these two and also other people in this world is just really fun to follow. The next one is Bargains with Benefits, and it's the first book in a new series by Gillian Witt. When Luna bargained with an arrogant Fae journalist to save her inn, the last thing she expected was to fall for him. So I do believe this is more of on the cozy side of fantasy, and there might be kind of enemies to lovers thing happening. So this is how Fae Luna appears, and she is getting what she's always wanted, to run the Cliff House Inn, except it hasn't had a visitor in months. One of the rooms is magically locked, and the owner, her estranged Fae father, is threatening to sell. I always love the setting of like a magical hotel or something like that, so that's always going to be fun if we have like a sentient home. Yes. So she kind of has to make it happen that her father doesn't sell it. And so we now have Vincent Endeavoron, and he's a journalist, and he's more like, I feel like, in a gossip column era of his life, but he really wants to be like a serious reporter. And now he has a way of getting there by investigating the Cliff House Inn. So I think that's kind of where they cross paths and they have to kind of work together, but Luna doesn't know that he needs to investigate her, so there is going to be that tension, and of course they're going to fall in love and stuff. So I think it's still going to be very cozy. I think it does have a very big romance plot, if that's something that you will like. Then we have Rose and Chains by Julie Soto. I do believe I heard that this is going to be in some of the subscription boxes, so keep an eye out for that if you are subscribed to some or one of them. This one says, the war is over, the dark forces have won, and the hero who was supposed to save them is dead. Which is kind of like a twist on the hero aspect and the chosen one that I love. Captured as her castle is overrun by the enemy, Bryony Rosewood is stripped of her magic and auctioned off to the highest bidder. She's sold to Tovin Hurst, scion of a family known for their cruel control of magic and her long time and unresolved infatuation. Okay, so we have kind of a past of these love interests. Yet despite the horrors of her new world and the role she must learn to play within it, all is not lost. Help and hope may yet arise in the most unlikely of places. So I feel like that doesn't really tell you much. I feel like it does sound very typical, generic romantasy. Tagline of this is, he's her greatest enemy and her deepest desire. Did I read that before asking to get an arc? I don't know, because I'm not the biggest like spicy romantasy reader, so if it's all about her desire for him, it might turn me off. If there is an actual plot to the whole thing, I might like it. So we'll see, but I'm okay with DNFing it if I feel like it just gets too much for me. The next book that's coming out is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it has been quite a while since I read the last book by this author, but since this one does have the kind of space race aspect to it, I am very intrigued to see where this goes. So this is set against the backdrop of the 1980s space shuttle program, and I think we are following some of the candidates who are supposed to go into space. I am hoping that there will be a lot of space aspect because I love that, and it's going to be interesting to have that point of view of the 1980s towards like space and space travel. It says, fast-paced, thrilling and emotional, Atmosphere is Taylor Jenkins Reid's at her best, transporting readers to iconic times and places with complex protagonists telling a passionate and soaring story about the transformative power of love, this time among the stars. So there will be a love story in this. I don't want to know too much more just going into it, but space, her writing style, it's gonna be amazing. Staying with this space theme, we have a space opera next, and that is The Two Lives of Faven Scythe by Megan E. O'Keefe. I have read something by this author before, but this is a standalone, so that's gonna be fun to just have one thing that you can finish and be done with, and not have like a whole new series that you open up. Especially with sci-fi, it's great to just have a standalone. And I'm not gonna lie, it's the cover that got me to look more closely into this, and then I noticed, okay, I know this author as well. But this is such a unique cover for like a space opera. You have this kind of animal on the cover as well as the spaceship, and the colors are just, for me specifically, like, yes please. And it says, a search for a missing person uncovers a galaxy spanning conspiracy in this thrilling standalone space opera from award-winning author Megan O'Keefe. So we have Julie Clark's Ghostwriter. This is called Die Unsichtbare Hand here in Germany, and I've already started it until I realized, hey, this is a new release. And in this one we follow a ghostwriter who has been away from her hometown for quite some time, and now after some decades she has to go back in order to write a book for her father, who is a best-selling author, but who has also this kind of dark cloud over his past, because when he was a teenager, his siblings were brutally murdered, and everybody has kind of been very suspicious of him, but nothing has ever been proven. So they kind of had to live with this hanging over their heads the whole time. And now he kind of wants to do a tell-all book, but he does have health problems, and so he needs her help in order to write it. And of course she doesn't know which parts of this is true, what is made up, and what is actual fact. So far I'm really enjoying the writing style. I don't think I've read anything by this author before, but I do believe her books have been very well received in the past, so I'm really happy to go back into this one. And a book that I have pre-ordered, so it isn't here yet, is The Listeners by Maggie Stiefvater. This I am very much on the fence about, because like just from the premise of it, I would probably not have picked it up if it wasn't by this author. It is her adult debut, so I do believe there will be kind of a different vibe to her other books, but at the same time I do believe that we have a very Maggie Stiefvater atmosphere that's gonna happen. And just from the synopsis, I would have thought it was just a historical fiction, because it is set in 1942. It is set again at a hotel, so this is something that I actually like. But in this plot we have an American hotel, but they have to do room and board for Nazis. I'm not really sure on all the details why they have to do it, but Nazis will be staying at the hotel, and we follow the manager of the hotel as she's trying to navigate everyone sticking to the rules and everything. We also have like an FBI agent and everything, so there is like a lit-fic mystery historical fiction plot going on, but it wouldn't be Maggie Stiefvater if there wasn't like a magical note to it. And she herself has posted something on Goodreads, and she says, I wanted to write a controlled, intense, strange, sensual, truthful novel set firmly in a genre I'm increasingly thinking of as wonder. And then in brackets, what is the opposite of horror? Or at least, what do you call it when the speculative aspects are more likely to provoke awe than terror? I wanted it to be magical, but I wanted the story and the characters to be firmly stitched into the fabric of human history, that it all felt truer than true. Am I describing magic? Probably not. I wanted to write myth. And I do like that she says that her readers have grown, and she wanted her writing to grow with them. So I am willing to go into this. So those are the ones that have already been on my radar, that are already on my NetGalley, that I should have already gotten to be honest. But time has gotten away, and like I said, I've only gotten to a few of them. Now there are 5 more books that I'm intrigued about enough to have them on my radar. We have The Ground That Devours Us, and again, title, the cover, love. Love, 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 love. And in this one we have a dystopian apocalyptic world where vampires showed up 10 years ago, and we have like a slayer who is the main character, but then her sister gets turned, and she of course wants to save her sister, so she has to work with the vampire who turned her sister in order to save her sister and figure out like what to do. So it sounds amazing. Is it YA? Yes, it says young adult, so it's young adult paranormal dystopian kind of thing. I am gonna get to this one at some point in the near future because it does sound so good, and the reviews so far have been amazing as well. Then we have A Fellowship of Librarians and Dragons by Jay Penner. And not gonna lie, I have the first book in the series. I think they were self-published for a while and now they have been picked up. And I got the arc for the first book. I have not gotten to it yet. It is very cozy fantasy. In the first one we follow a baker who is like in a baking contest, and this one will be just as cozy. So I'm not going to go more into the details of this. I should just get to the first book, to be honest, but I did want to mention it because it's coming out on June 3rd. A very similar vibe is Celestial Banquet by Roselle Lim. In this one we again have like this competition happening with baking or like cooking, and I'm always here for that. Food in fantasy is amazing. I always like it. But I am worried about how many cozy fantasies are out there trying to be kind of like Legends and Lattes. It can be a bit too generic at some point. Will those be the exceptions? I don't know. We'll see. Then we have A Ladies' Night by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This one sounds fun. The tagline is "Lock up your dragons, it's Ladies' Night." So the title alone is, and the tagline is amazing. For that alone, I want to read it. I do believe it's just like a gender swap kind of story where the lady is also the knight. It might be queer, I'm not sure. But it sounds fun, and I'm hoping that the humor will work for me. And then we have a contemporary YA novel, and that is Anne Leong's Never Thought I'd End Up Here, where we follow a girl traveling through China in order to learn more about the culture that she hasn't really gotten to know while she was living in America. And this author has been on my radar because I wanted to read another book by her and I haven't gotten to it yet. So which one I will get to first, I don't know, but this is coming out on June 3rd as well. We've done it. We've done it. June 3rd is now over. Let's go to June 5th. We have 4 books that I want to talk about quickly. So we have A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. And again, 2 very different covers, which I love both of them, so I'm gonna have to read my arc first to see which one I want to get as a physical copy. And it says it's a breathtaking romantic fantasy inspired by Beauty and the Beast about a girl who paints the future and a cursed dragon lord bound by love and deception in a plot to bring down the gods. So I always love a good plot against the gods, and I always love the Beauty and the Beast retelling. I feel like there hasn't been too much of those in the recent past. I feel like there was a bit too much of that maybe 5 to 10 years ago, and then everybody was trying to do other retellings, and now we're back to it. The next one is Heir of Storms by Lauren Hamilton Murray, and I don't actually know anything about this one. It says, "I am the girl who wove the storm that shook the world, and I'm coming for my crown." I feel like in June we're gonna have a lot of princesses trying to regain power that has been taken away from them, so that sounds like a good time, to be honest. And in this one we have her, like the main character Blaze, and her twin brother who have to fight to figure out who gets the throne. So there will be kind of like the battle and intrigue and political intrigue and everything. So it sounds like a good time. We kind of switch to a very different book. It says He's to Die For. All's fair in love and murder. It's murder cute in the first degree when a detective finds himself falling for the lead suspect in a career-making case. And the thing that got me to ask for the arc is it says Brooklyn Nine-Nine meets The Charm Offensive. And yes, anything Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I am wondering if it's going to be fun like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or if it's just compared to it because of the detective part. But we'll see. I always like a kind of romance put together with mystery aspect, so I'm so hoping it's well done. We'll see. Those 3 I have arcs for, and then I have another book that I want to get to because I think I can manage to get the audiobook for this one, and it's Wish You Were Her by Elle McNichol. Anything she comes out with I'm gonna read regardless of what the actual plot is, because I just know it's going to be very heartfelt and very beautiful. It will have great representation, so I'm here for anything that she writes. I think it was in April that I read some of the sequels to A Kind of Spark, and both of those were very beautiful. So then we're up to June 10th, and there are 5 releases that I want to talk about. 3 of them I have arcs for, and the first one is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, and it says it's a new genre-defying novel about immortality and hunger. So I'm hoping, again, because hunger and like vampires always goes very like into a spicy kind of story, so I'm hoping that it doesn't go too far. I like spice, I don't like it when it takes over the whole plot of the story. This is a story about hunger, this is a story about love, this is a story about rage, this is a story about life, how it ends and how it starts. And we have 3 different timelines that we follow, and I feel like they're all going to be interconnected. I do think that someone said it's about sapphic vampires. I don't know if I misremember this, but I feel like that works for the 3 timelines. So I'm not gonna go into the details of this. You will probably already have seen this. The next one is 6 Wild Crowns by Holly Race. This is again the beginning of a new series. And I do believe that this is supposed to be kind of a reimagining of Henry VIII's wives. Because in this one we have 6 queens that are married to the same king, and they're kind of banding together in order to overthrow his rule. I don't know. And I think we do follow 2 of the queens who have very different feelings towards the king. One who has known him a long time and is in love with him, and one who just kind of got thrown into this position. And I feel like this could be interesting. It's supposed to be sapphic, it says. It says a captivating epic fantasy filled with dragons, court politics, and sapphic yearning, perfect for fans of Priory of the Orange Tree and House of the Dragon. So I love myself a dragon story, and court politics is always good. Female rage and overthrowing men. Sounds like a great June to me. And then we have A Dance of Lies by Brittany Arena, and this one is a debut fantasy romance. It's not romantasy, it's fantasy romance, so hopefully there will be a lot of plot in this one. And it is filled with hope after heartbreak, secrets and betrayal, as a dancer turned spy must decide how far she will go to secure her freedom. I love this kind of thing where like, the main character can really be trusted, they have a mission, they have to go somewhere, they have to like sneak in. Very intrigued. So I feel like this again will have a lot of court politics, but I do like the aspect that the main character has already history with the king, because she has been at his court for a while until he framed her for murder. Then she was in a dungeon, and now she has this kind of possible deal where she could gain her freedom again. So she will have resentment towards the king. So will she want to keep true to that deal, or if she's gonna betray him again? We don't know. It's gonna be a lot of fun, I think. And then we have a new Riley Sager coming on June 10th. It's called With a Vengeance, and usually I would stay clear of this because Riley Sager, what I've read of him, it was okay. It wasn't like the best, but this one has a train, and I love things that like thrillers that are on a train, like stories in general on a train, because you're kind of, you can't leave a train while it's like on its way. And I feel like this one will be very interesting because someone is trying to exact revenge because of something that happened in the past, and gets all of these people that are involved in this case on the train, but then someone else starts killing. So it will be interesting, but sometimes I feel like with Riley Sager books, they have too much thrown in there and it's kind of like over the top, and I'm not really the biggest fan. So I think I'm gonna wait until other people tell me if it's worth reading before going in. And then something else that looks cute, and I'm gonna wait until I hear more about it, is The Witch Roads by Kate Elliott. This has kind of people who are thrown together like on a voyage kind of theme to it, but I feel like there's also this aspect of magic turning the character of someone into something else. But it does sound very cute. I like the cover. It has a very cozy fantasy aspect to it, but I feel like there is kind of a darker tone to the synopsis of this one. And it says, when an arrogant prince and his equally arrogant entourage gets stuck in Orletta Halt, Ellen is assigned to guide him through the hills to reach his destination. When she warns him not to enter the haunted spires, the prince doesn't heed her advice, of course, and the man who emerges from the towers isn't the same man who entered. So I feel like it sounds cozy, and it sounds kind of like very sarcastic in a way that he is this arrogant prince that doesn't really listen to anybody, but then maybe something more sinister is coming out of the spire. I don't know. The cover doesn't seem sinister, but we don't know. Kate Elliott. Where do I know you from? I feel like I've read something by Kate Elliott before. Oh, Servant Mage and The Keeper 6 are both still on my TBR. So there's that. Does that mean that this one is again something very small-ish? How many pages does this one have? Because I think the other two are very small. No, this one has 448 pages, so not small, kind of a tome, but that gives a lot of leeway towards the plot, I think. So this could be very interesting. Going to June 17th, we have The Mercy Makers by Tessa Gratton. I don't think I've read anything by this author before, and I do think that they write on a spice level that isn't really my preference. But I think, if I remember correctly, there seems to be more plot in this one, so that's kind of why I put it on my list. And it says, a talented heretic must decide between the pursuit of forbidden magic or the ecstasy of forbidden love. Okay, maybe it does have more spice than I thought. Either way, her choice will upend the world in the starter of a sweeping romantic epic fantasy trilogy. So this seems to take place in a country where there is like a corrupt system, and Iriset, she can create magical disguises, and then her father gets captured and she wants to save him, and then she can bring down the whole system. This, again, I think the spice level is gonna make it or break it for me, because either it's gonna be very interesting, very action-packed, very political intrigue-esque, or it's gonna have a lot of will they or won't they spicy scenes following spicy scenes, which isn't something that I really like. It is kind of weird that it says like it's gonna romance heavy, but then it says epic fantasy. So I feel like there is like a disconnect there, but we'll see. I am intrigued though. Then we have the new Ashley Poston, Sounds Like Love. I don't know anything about this one. Let's find out together. So the last couple of books that I read by her were very fun. They always have kind of like a magical note to it. And in this one, it's about a hit-making songwriter and a bitter musician who share a startling and inexplicable connection that they'll do anything to shake. Okay, in this one, they are kind of mentally connected, which they both hate and they want to get rid of, and it's surrounded by like musician and making music, so that's always a fun theme. But yeah, that sounds good. Always a fun time with her. The next one is another one where my love for trains comes through. It's called Death on the Caldera by Emily Paxman, and it says it's murder on the Orient Express with witches. Don't need anything more. I don't actually know much more. So I'm just gonna go into it blind. Have like a mystery, like a murder mystery on a train, but with like supernatural elements. And I love the cover as well, so yay. Then we have something that I've only heard about, I think like yesterday or 2 days ago, If We Survive This by Raquel Marie. And this is an apocalyptic story about a girl who thought she would never have survived the zombie apocalypse, but she did, and now we kind of follow her as she tries to survive this kind of environment. Don't know too much more. Sounds good. And the last one for June 17th is Mark A. Latham's The Last Vigilant, where I just have to say the cover of this reminds me so much of the first book of The Wheel of Times, not gonna lie. So I couldn't even tell you if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a thing. It has a very like epic fantasy feel to it. Set in a world where magic is forgotten, monsters lurk in the dark woods, and honorable soldiers are few. This utterly gripping epic fantasy tells the story of two flawed humans, an out-of-practice wizard, that's something that I love, out-of-practice wizard, and a hot-headed sergeant who are thrust into the heart of a mystery that threatens to unravel their kingdom's fragile peace. Okay, someone in a review says it's The Witcher meets A Tainted Cup. Okay, so you do have like a bigger mystery happening here, but it does feel like a very typical epic fantasy where we just follow a group of people trying to be the heroes. Now I think that maybe there is more of like a mystery aspect to it than I thought like in the beginning, which would be a fun thing. The Tainted Cup was great, but I do believe that I will wait until I hear more people talk about this one before I pick it up, because I don't have anything in this that says to me that I need to read it right away. to be honest. But I did want to mention it here because it does have potential, I think. Then on June 19th, The Blood Phoenix, which is by Amber Chen, and this is the sequel to Of Jade and Dragons, which I have recently read. This is kind of a silk punk, Asian-inspired steampunk story that has influence of Mulan, but not too much. It's going to be interesting to go back to this world. So if you haven't picked it up, I did enjoy the unique setting of this one. And this one is called A Treachery of Swans by A.B. Poranek, and it is a retelling of Swan Lake, a sapphic retelling. And it says it's for fans of Alison Saft and V.E. Schwab. And I already talked about V.E. Schwab, but I also recently read an Alison Saft book and enjoyed it. So this is something that really speaks to me. I don't think I've ever seen Swan Lake or like a adaptation of it or something, so this would be a very new way of looking at this story, meaning I have no idea what's in store for me. But I do think that I saw that people talk about that there is a setting of a theater which they really enjoyed. We have Odile, who is going on a heist. She wants to infiltrate the palace as a princess and kind of restore magic to the kingdom. No biggie. And then she meets someone who makes her question all of that. So it does sound very beautiful, very lyrical, very atmospheric. I do think that people said this was more atmospheric than like action-packed, but it sounds good. There is a point of them saying it's gothic, so take that with a grain of salt. I don't know. Yeah, but that sounds great. But that's it. Those are the many books that are coming out in June, especially on June 3rd and 10th. It's crazy how many books are coming out. So I hope I got you intrigued for some of them. All in all, I'm very excited for June to come. This is going to be a very fun, very sapphic, very queer, very fantasy heavy month, which I'm not mad about. Let me know down in the comments if I missed anything or if you are interested in any of these books. Let us talk about these amazing new releases and let's get to reading. And until next time, I hope you have all the great reads. Bye!